called the damage of the moon. Now, we don't really see the damage of the moon, but originally the moon and the sun were the same size. That's originally. Eventually, very soon, all the misconceptions, what people think, will be obvious to us. People think that the sun is 99, million kilometers away from us? 99,000 light years away. Somebody went with a tape measure and measured it? What kind of a nonsense is that? People think that the sun is 100 million kilometers somewhere in space. There's no such thing as space. This is the biggest lie ever. People think that there's space. There's no space. And the moon and the sun that you see, it's in the firmament. It's not outside of the firmament. All the stars that you see, and the moon and everything, it's in the firmament. I told you already a million times, nothing can go out of the firmament. They're telling you that people landed on the moon, people that they found things on Mars. What kind of nonsense is that? Somebody today sent me a video that was, you can find it, if you want I'll send you the link, from WikiLeaks, showing the entire production that they shot in the desert in Nevada of the people walking on the moon. You see like the whole production. And action. And you see the people like walking. And people believe that. So, why is that important to know? Because people think that the moon is a ball. The moon is not a ball. People think the sun is a ball. The sun is not a ball. People think we live on a ball. So what if you think that? The moon is not a ball, by the way. It doesn't say anywhere in our sources that the moon is a ball. The moon is round, but it doesn't mean that it's a ball. Did NASA ever show you the other side of the moon? No. Same thing with the sun. The sun is not a ball. It's called galgalim. Galgalim means a round, something round, like a plate, a disc. So that's, irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. It's not what we're talking about, but it's just something to pay attention is because it says that Kadosh Baruch Hu tala levana v'chama b'shamayim. He hung the sun and the moon in the shamayim. Shamayim, by the way, doesn't mean heavens. Shamayim means sham-maim. Because sham-maim means there's water over there. Because in the beginning, if you look at the Sefer Bereshit bara Elokim את השמיים ואת הארץ, והארץ הייתה תוהו ובוהו. Right? That in itself is already explaining to you how the entire structure is. And later on it says, ויבדל השם בין המים שמתחת לרקיע לבין המים שמעל הרקיע. Saying in other words that Hashem separated the water underneath the firmament, which is the water that we call ocean, and the water above the firmament, that is that strip. Nothing can penetrate through that water, the water that is above the firmament. Saying in other words, nothing can leave the firmament. Everything is underneath the firmament, including the stars and the sun and the moon. And by the way, the moon and the sun are not as far as they say there is. They're close to us.
You still can't reach it.
Of course you can't reach it, but nonetheless, it's not what they say, NASA, that it's light years away. But why is that important to know? Besides what we're learning now, because I wanted to just emphasize that people think that the moon and the sun and all these balls, they're now telling you the Mars and Jupiter and Uranus, they're all balls. Who says it's balls? Where do you come up with that it's a ball? It's a disk. Like everything else, it is a disk. But nevertheless, here it's talking about the damage of the moon. That, of course, we know that, originally the moon and the sun were created the same size, but the moon was complaining, there's going to be two kings sharing the same crown, which is another hint, by the way, of how the world, the structure of the world is. The moon, people think that the world is turning on its axis. Biggest misconception ever. The world doesn't move. We're not moving, by the way. They're saying we're moving 1,666 kilometers an hour. You're right, and you wouldn't feel the movement. But first of all, we're not moving, by the way. Even Rav Kanievsky, who recently died, he also said, anyone who thinks or writes or says that we are turning around and we're turning around the sun, kofer b'Torah kula, is going against the entire Torah. And if you wrote any books, you don't even have to put it in Gnizah, you have to throw it to the garbage. That's Rav Kanievsky. Says that anybody who believes or wrote, because there are rabbis who write things, but they get a lot of money to write it, like many rabbis that come out with piskei halacha, with a halacha ruling, because they get a lot of money. By the way, many rabbis are part of the Freemasons. They're ponim chofshim. The fact that they have a beard and a yarmulke doesn't mean anything. But nevertheless, Rav Kanievsky says that if anyone who believes that the world is turning around, and more than that, turning around the sun, is kofer b'Torah kula, is going against the entire Torah. We're not moving, and the sun is turning around us. Not we around the sun. But the sun and the moon are turning together. Right? So, in the beginning, the moon was complaining to Hashem, or two kings with sharing the same crown. So Hashem punished the moon and diminished its size, but not necessarily the physical size. Here it says that the damage of the moon, Pgam halevana, the damage of the moon, it's not physically damaged on the moon itself. Hiya malchut, the damage is in the malchut, but the moon is the manifestation of the sphere of malchut.